Espino with the Passive Income Show, and we're excited today to be talking about passive income from teaching online, and that includes platforms like Udemy, Skillshare, Teachable, Thinkific, all of these different types of platforms that exist for teaching online. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. I'm going to have my friend Phil Ebner online as well. He's going to come on board. Let me make sure that I've got him invited correctly first. And I'll use let's make sure that that invitation is out there. And welcome everybody. Go ahead and type your name into the chat. Let me hear, or let me see who all is here as we get started here. We'd just like to see some familiar names or even unfamiliar names. That's fine. I'm going to have Phil Ebner, one of the top Udemy instructors, on the line here. He's going to be joining us pretty soon. Just want to be sure that we've got him on here correctly before we actually start the show. So if you would, just type into the chat. You might be able to see it in the upper left-hand corner. Just click that little blue box. When you hover over it, it says chat. And just type your name in and where you're from. Would like to hear from you. Tonight, we're going to be recapping 2016 in the world of online teaching. And then we're also going to be talking about what our plans are and what our expectations are for 2017 for online teaching as well. I see we have some viewers here, but let me make sure that I am talking to Phil. On Facebook. Let me come back here. We're going to get started real soon, guys. Just hang in there. All I need is for Phil to be able to come on here, and I just want to be sure that I've added him correctly to the show. Can you hear me? Why don't we start with that? Can you hear me in the chat? That would be important, right? So let me know if you can hear me. It looks like we're live, so everything there is good. But I just need to know that you all can hear me while we're waiting for Phil to come on the line here. Oh, cool. All right. Let me use that email address here to get Phil on. There we go. That should work. Hang on, everybody. We're just getting technical difficulties ironed out. We'll be with you guys in a second. There we go.
Okay, can you hear me?
I see you, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Testing, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2, testing. Can you hear me? Can other people hear me? Okay, can you hear me now? Dave, can you hear me? Hello, testing, 1, 2. Okay. Just like always, technical difficulty with the Passive Income Show.
It's going to be tricky if I can't hear you.
It
but
sounds.
everybody
It
else
looks
can.
like people can hear me. Dave, can you hear me? Everyone else can hear us, but Dave can't hear me.
Okay, I fixed it. I can hear you.
We did it! We figured it out. I do not know what the problem was and why I wasn't getting invited, but I'm here now.
Technology.
Okay, cool. Well, people are watching on YouTube, so that's awesome. We've got 9 people watching. That's good.
We were able to pull a few people away from the farewell address, the president's farewell address.
Oh, yes, yes. I forgot that was going on right now.
Thank goodness for DVRs.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, somehow the mainstream media knew we were doing this event today, Phil, and they decided to sabotage our event by having that farewell address. I don't know what they were thinking.
Mainstream media's fault.
It is.
Okay, well, this is going to be more. This is going to be better, and than that, anyways. So
yeah,
cool.
this show will make you a lot more money than that show. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Cool. So now we figured out YouTube Live, kind of, and it's actually a pretty cool platform. I like that it's not as interactive as Blab. I feel like we have to be monitoring the live chat that's on the YouTube page as well. And I don't know if there's a delay in that chat at all either. I feel like people are going to be hearing what we're actually saying like 20 seconds later on YouTube, but
yeah, that's a little tricky. I have to get over there and see if I can see the chat at the same time.
Yeah, I've got it up. Cool. So 2017.
Here it is.
What do you want to chat about?
Well, I think it'd be good to do a little recap of 2016. 2016 was filled with a lot of ups and downs, a lot of changes on Udemy specifically. Both Phil and I teach on various platforms, not just on Udemy. But I think since Udemy tends to be the main source of income for most of us, I think it'd be good to just talk about some of the changes and maybe talk about where we're at right now. Like what have those changes led to at this point? I can give you one, because you probably have a lot more to talk about on that, Phil, but I'll give you one feeling that I'm getting. And I don't know if it's just because we've just come off of fourth quarter and, Black Friday sales and December and January, but things are feeling more stable to me for some reason. I don't know if like I said, I don't know if it's because of that or if it's just maybe there is a stabilization of income and even a growth of income. I know you experienced massive growth in income, Phil, so love to hear about that as well. But I'm feeling like there's a little bit more stability. At least December didn't drop dramatically like it has in past years. I had the best December ever. In fact, I think December was about my fourth best month of the year, which was shocking to me because usually December, it seems like everyone at Udemy just goes to sleep.
Yeah,
and nothing happens.
Last year, December, it's also, comparing it to November and Black Friday, it seems like it's a slower month. This December for me was about the same. I think it actually ended up being my third or fourth best month after January and November. But I agree. I feel like on Udemy, things have stabilized a bit. And I feel like after the pricing change earlier in the year, we were all it felt like we were paddling for our life, trying to stay above water and trying to figure out how is this going to last a long time.
Yeah.
And so we were trying all these different things with creating a ton of courses, which was good. In the end, I think it helped at the end of the year when sales kind of picked back up. Some of those courses that we created back in the middle of the year made some decent sales. But there is just a sense of stability on Udemy where Udemy is playing their part. They're promoting courses and making sure courses that rank, that are good courses and get good reviews, they're making sure that those courses are making sales, and that just allows us to focus on our audience and course creation and not feel worried about it. It's weird because it's like I think everyone who was on Udemy felt the same thing, that we were just nervous about where it was going to go. And if the pricing change didn't happen again in August, and if things didn't pick up in August and September, and then if we didn't have a good Black Friday, then we'd be sitting here having a different conversation.
Yeah, or we might be watching the farewell address.
Yeah, the Udemy farewell address.
Yeah, I agree. I think it did turn the tide, and I think it's good. In one sense, it's good that Udemy recognized the pricing change. The first pricing change was a mistake, and they had to get back to what they were good at. And then maybe, who knows what they did behind the scenes to stabilize things even more. Because, my first reaction to the second pricing change was, uh-oh, we're going to go back to intense, heavy discounting constantly and watering down everything so that when they do have a sale, nothing happens. And so I'm very glad to see that that didn't happen. The other thing that happened, though, while we were all in the midst of all of this turbulence, was Udemy added another couple million students to their base. I think the last number I saw was 14 million that they're up to now. So anytime they can add new students in to their growing, database, that's a good thing for everybody. That just allows us to have more people to sell to, more people to take our courses, and allows us all to build bigger and bigger student base.
Yeah, that's interesting because I feel like I haven't heard about Udemy's students, the number of students, and that was a big thing early on. Every month it increased by, it seemed like 1 million students, and they did talk about, when they had their I don't know what it was, an email or a blog article, they talked about this upcoming year really being focused on international growth. So that's exciting because if they can tap into that market even more, then that's better for us. And that's where we're going to find a whole batch of new students.
That's true. When in looking at my student breakdown, 35% of my students are from the US. It used to be a bigger number because I used to promote more, to my own student base. But 35% is from the US. That means the rest of it, 65%, is from everywhere else, and when they do those deep discounts, that actually helps us to build that international student base, because a lot of people in other countries can't afford, high prices for courses. So when they see those sales, they come in and start buying. And I've noticed that shift over time to less US students and more international students. And so the fact that they're focusing on that just means to me, that's a good sign for revenue increase, over time as they continue that. So
Yeah. I'm wondering, with all the people in our audience listening right now, what did you guys feel like? Maybe chat in the chat, like, what were you feeling earlier in the year? And if you have courses on Udemy, did you see some sort of uptick in the latter part of the year? And especially for Black Friday, I'm wondering if anyone had a good Black Friday. So yeah.
Yeah, let us know about that. And I'm seeing some familiar faces. Frank Ward is big on Amazon Video Direct. Sheldon, that name sounds familiar. Sheldon, I think you've been on our Blabs before.
Oh yeah, yes. I'm
Looks
also
familiar.
seeing that I've got this our YouTube view up, and the one thing I'm wondering about this whole YouTube live thing is that it seems like I'm on camera the whole time.
Uh-oh.
Is there an
We can't have
option?
we can't have that, Phil.
Yeah, I know. I don't
You
want to be on camera the whole time.
know. I don't know. Let me see what we can do here.
It shows me as being.
Well, now it says I'm presenting to everyone. So I guess I can choose one or the other. Now let me see if we can choose both.
Oh yeah, I see now. It's going back it's going back and forth according to who you click on.
What is that?
Yeah, I guess you just have to switch them.
Maybe.
Oh. Well, we're figuring out too. We tried out a couple other options after Blab went away, and there just hasn't been anything that, even though Blab had its problems, it worked pretty seamlessly.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Blab and I miss it.
Yeah.
But there are other things coming up, and I'm sure that very soon we'll have a good alternate to Blab.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there's even a way to use Facebook video in a split screen. I just haven't dug into it in detail. But I like this one because it's on YouTube, and we're all working to grow our YouTube audience anyway. So I think this is a good way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. The Treasure Gnome, I don't know who that is, in our chat says, click the third box in the show and it shows whoever's speaking. Huh, the third box. I don't see a third box actually.
That'd be cameraman.
Oh, maybe.
Let's see. Show or hide participants with this button.
Sometimes if you click the person who's on camera, it will like uncheck all of them. And then it switches back and forth. I don't know. Or it can just be on me the whole time. So yeah, back to November for me. November was the best month that I've had on Udemy and with online courses, and it was just an amazing month just in general. I was actually on vacation for most of the month, which just shows again the power of online courses and passive income. And I have this video on YouTube that talks about passive income and the ways that I'm making passive income, and it's my most watched YouTube video, and it's also the most divisive video because there's so many people on there that watch it and they're like, online courses, everything you're talking about isn't passive income, because I talk about online courses, I talk about ebooks, I talk about my YouTube channel. And I always just think that it's just the definition of what passive income is to you. There's a lot of people looking for passive income that is completely passive, that somehow you're going to make money from doing absolutely nothing. And the only way I figure you can do that is if you somehow have a lot of money up front and you're investing, or you're just paying someone to do stuff for you and you just have to sit back. But for me, November was the perfect example of why this whole online course thing is passive income, because I put in a lot of work up to that point, and I launched all my promos, or I scheduled all my promotions for November. I scheduled YouTube videos, I scheduled my blog articles, my emails before I left, and I went away for 3 weeks, and I had the best month that I've ever had. So it was hard to not like be checking Udemy revenue while I was gone. I was on our phone with our SIM card, like checking the revenue every day or so. But I wasn't answering any questions, which was good, but I did come back to like hundreds of questions into my courses.
And you went to Australia, right?
Yeah, I was in Australia. Isabel, my wife, for everyone who doesn't know, she actually has cousins down there in Australia. So we got to stay with them for a lot of the time. And then we got to do a little bit of traveling ourselves too. So yeah, it was really great. And yeah, now we're back in the States. Rainy down here in Southern California.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, when people talk about passive income, are they talking about investment income? Because that's usually the argument that I see when I talk about passive income. And even on one of our blabs, I think somebody was saying, "Oh, I thought you guys were talking about investing money and blah blah blah." Is that the alternative, or what other people are talking about?
People don't give like any real reasons. They just say, "Oh, this isn't passive income. You have to work to do it." So I don't know what these people are expecting.
They just want to lay on the couch.
Yeah, that's what they want to do. But everyone that I've seen who has started creating courses and stuck with it for a while and learned the ropes and learned how to improve their course creation and their marketing has been having success, especially on Udemy and especially lately. And so just in general, on Udemy, the start of the year was great. The middle was bad, and then it ended up being great. And January, I was crossing my fingers that we were going to have a good start of the year, just because it's like a good way to launch ourselves in the year. And it also gives me a little bit of freedom to kind of plan my year and figure out what I'm going to do outside of just course creation and promotion. So the past couple of weeks, I've been working on some projects and just kind of figuring out what I'm going to do without worrying about, okay, I got to make a course right now and launch it this month or this week. I don't even think I'm going to launch a new course this month, actually. But last year, I also started the year, I think, with big sites, big ideas. I was really thinking about building my own platform and self-hosting courses, and I hadn't really figured out email marketing and all of that stuff. So I spent a lot of time and energy figuring that out. And in the end, it was really beneficial. I learned a lot, and I've set up some automated systems on my own site, but I also might have spent a little bit too much time on that. And at the end of the day, what's worked for me always is just creating a lot of great courses. And so I think I'm kind of backing up towards that and trying to focus my energy into what's working this year.
Right. So I know that last year you went on a tear with creating new courses. Do you know about how many new courses you did?
Gosh, that's a good question. But I think at the end of the year, it ended up being like over 20. And yeah, maybe close to 25. But that sounds amazing, but it's also like 80% of my revenue probably came from 20% of those courses. And it's, I really have focused on making sure doing validation of my courses before I create them now. And that was something that I wasn't doing in the middle of the year. And to be honest, I was creating courses that I wasn't the best person to teach those courses. And those courses just didn't do as well. So like in December, I launched a big video production course, which is a big target audience, and a lot of students of mine that are in my courses already were interested in that course. So it was an obvious course to make. Another thing I did late in the year was recreate my big video editing in Premiere Pro course, because my old one was kind of getting outdated. And so I knew that was going to be a success because the other one was successful and this one was just going to be even better. So that one is doing really well. And right now, what I'm working on is actually redoing my whole online teaching course, which I first started and launched in 2013, which is amazing that I created that course so long ago.
Wow.
And it was so early in my journey of creating courses. It seems hard to believe that was 2013. It was maybe it was 2014.
Maybe.
No, it was 2013. Yeah, it was 2013.
Wow.
So that was only a year and a half into selling courses on Udemy, and I felt like I knew a lot back then. But I know a lot more now. And so I'm redoing that whole course and I'm excited to launch that one probably in February. But at the same time, a lot of the stuff that I was teaching in that first class, it's exactly what I'm doing now.
Huh.
I just know that the course I put together now is going to be better and more engaging.
Yeah, more detailed and more nuance, shall we say.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
before we move on, I want to talk about my passive income story because December for me was similar to your November, not in terms of our income, but in terms of benefiting from passive income. December, the first, I guess, week, about first 10 days of December, I wasn't really doing much. Came off of November feeling great because November is always, amazing. And then the first few days of December, I just started thinking, okay, what am I going to do for next year? What are I started game planning really at the beginning of December. Then around the 11th or 12th, my wife got injured. She fell down a short flight of stairs, like 3 or 4 stairs, and sprained her ankle.
Oh my.
And that wasn't the really big issue. The really big issue was that she developed some blood clots from that injury. And so we had to go to urgent care and emergency room and all this stuff, all kinds of tests, all kinds of doctor visits. And so my psychic energy, my energy to create courses or to do my business was kind of, by the time we get home from the doctor's office, kind of sapped, plus the fact that I was taking care of my wife and doing the things she normally does, which gave me a whole new appreciation for her. But what ended up happening was I did no work in December.
Yeah.
I did zero work. I'll say, I did a little bit here and there, minor. If I were to add up the number of hours I worked in December, it's probably like 4 or 5 hours.
Wow. Okay.
For the whole month. And that doesn't include checking stats. Every day I was checking my stats on my different, online course platforms and my other passive income and things like that. The great thing about it, Phil, was I didn't have to worry about income. I didn't have to worry about, like, I've got to get this work done. Really, for the first time in a long time, I was free mentally to just deal with what I needed to deal with, which was taking care of my wife. And we almost, like, you could understand this, Phil, because we have self-imposed, like, rules in our mind. When you're a home-based business owner and you're successful, you've got like this self-imposed drive. I've got to get this done. I've got to work on this. I've got to move it. It's like I tell people we need to be a better boss on ourselves than our boss would be, or we need to be a tougher boss on ourselves than a boss at a job would be. And so to turn that off, you probably dealt with this in November, right?
That's hard. I mean, it was easier for me because I was gone and I was in another country and I was able to like focus my attention elsewhere. But I know how hard that is when you're at home and you're trying to, just let it go a little bit and turn it off, because we're always thinking about new ideas and what's next. And that's what makes us successful. If you're not like that, you end up trying to work for yourself and you end up waking up too late and watching TV and not getting stuff done. But I could imagine that was pretty difficult for you. But man, what a blessing that you were able to just kind of chill out in December. I think that's good for you.
It was a huge blessing to be able to just take my wife to her appointments, take care of her, take care of my boys, take care of our grandson, because we watch him once a week, which is also awesome. But all of this kind of piled up. And the fact that I didn't have to do something for income was incredible. I mean, just incredible blessing. And so I'm going to be shouting that story from the rooftops all of 2017 because I want other people to get this. I want other people to feel this and to enjoy the passive income that comes from doing it. Now, granted, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time. It took a lot of time for me to develop all the courses that I have. But in 2017, the cool thing is there are a few other upstart platforms where you can take those same courses and put them there. And so that's why this year, 2017, I'm kind of doing what you did last year, Phil. This year, I'm going to be creating 2 courses a month. That's my goal. I'm going to be writing 1 book a month, and that's not writing, but I'll actually turn my courses into books, transcribing the courses, editing them, and turning them into books. And I'm going to do a video a day. Those are my 3 simple goals for 2017. 2 courses a month, 1 book a month, and 1 video per day.
Well, that sounds like a lot, but honestly, like, I know you can do it, and I feel like if you have that idea, and it'll make it easier, and it probably won't end up feeling like that much work if you're just focusing on that and not worrying about a ton of other things.
Exactly.
And the daily video, I think, is a really good idea just for audience growth, and it's something that I kind of have thought about too, doing myself, some sort of like daily, whatever it is, a video or an email or something like that. But yeah, for people who aren't watching Dave's daily videos, they're really great, and you're never going to run out of topics. Well, you might run out of some topics, but they're really great so far.
I appreciate that, Phil. And if I run out of topics, I'll just tap you and I'll say, hey, give me some topics.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the idea with the daily video came from basically just seeing a lot of people that are successful on YouTube. They do daily content. They put out daily content. And something else I read somewhere about how that daily content has a way of kind of compounding on itself, over time. But I got to tell you, this all came from a video that I saw of Gary Vaynerchuk. And for a long time, I was kind of turned off to Gary Vaynerchuk because he cusses a lot, and that kind of turned me off. But and not that I'm a prude and I'm not into cussing. I just feel like you don't need that in order to convey good information. Well, apparently he does. that's totally okay. But there's this one video that I got to recommend to everybody. It's Gary Vaynerchuk at Traffic and Conversion Summit 2016. If you can write that down, or maybe I'll type it into the chat. But it's, let me type it in, Gary Vaynerchuk at Traffic and Conversion Summit.
Is it like an hour and 45 minutes?
Exactly. Yeah, that one.
Okay, I'm going to share that link with everyone in the chat.
Good. Okay, now remember that's an R-rated thing, but
yeah,
it blew me away because he said, you got to be working on your brand and your sales. Too many of us focus on one or the other. Like we either focus on, I need to make these transactions come in all the time for revenue, right? And then the other side of it is, I need to work on expanding my audience. He calls it building your brand. I call it building your audience. Because branding is a whole different thing, in my opinion. Like branding is the kind of advertising that Coca-Cola does or that Red Bull does. They're just trying to get their name bigger and bigger. But what I think is branding, or what I think he's calling branding, is when you build and build and build your audience that you can communicate with all the time. Like, for example, Coca-Cola does an ad for the Super Bowl. They can't communicate to those millions of people that saw the ad except that one time. But if you're building something on a platform like YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, which I'm not a big fan of, but if you're building something where you can stay in communication and you can drive those people to an offer, now, in my opinion, you've married the best of both worlds. You've married the building of the audience to the transactional, to sales. And, but man, guys, watch that video. It blew me away, and it's one of the things that made me go, you know what, I'm doing daily video this year, and it might be a habit that goes on for many years.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And you know, it's kind of like investing time or investing money in anything. It's hard to see the results right now in the first couple of weeks, but if you keep doing it in like 6 months and 12 months, it's gonna be amazing the results that you're getting. I think anyways.
Yeah,
Um,
and there's also a strategy behind it because the end goal for me is I want to promote a membership site which contains, I don't know, roughly 25 of my own courses
mhm.
and contains an additional 15 private label rights courses that all have to do with making money from home. That one is about e-commerce, one's about online teaching, one's about freelancing, and so on. And really, this membership site, all it is a teachable bundle of
Mhm.
37 courses, but it's a monthly membership thing. And so I haven't really even started to kind of push that yet in the video series that I'm doing. But the idea is to build this audience, build loyalty, build goodwill with this audience so that when you do recommend something, it comes from, okay, I know this guy really well now. I've got a relationship with him, even though it's on video, and I trust him enough to do this.
Yeah.
So I see every video as a little seed that's being planted and planted and planted. Every once in a while, I will promote something on a video. Like I have one where we talked about flea markets and how I went to a flea market and I found something for $8 that I sold for $130 on eBay. It's
Yeah.
something that I do second nature. But from that, I was able to promote my flea market course. And I'm seeing sales, not every day, but every few days I'm seeing sales. When I first launched it, there was 5 or 6 sales of that course. And so these videos, some of them are going to be like mini infomercials for my course. Some of them are going to be mini infomercials for my membership site. And some of them are just going to be good content that I put out there to build goodwill and relationship over time. Um, so that's the
Yeah.
strategy behind it. And that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I want to hear more about your Amazon t-shirt stuff, but
Oh
I
yeah.
also want to answer a question. Alexander chatted before when I was talking about recreating courses. He asked two things. How do you validate your courses to teach? And then when you redo a course, do you offer it as a new course or just replace the existing videos in the initial course? And so in my experience, I've done both. And my big online teaching course, actually, I've been adding content to that for the past few years. And it's been great because students in that class have gotten a lot more value than when they initially purchased. The problem is that that class has become so sort of unorganized now that it doesn't have a proper flow for a student.
Mm.
And same thing with some of my other courses. Like I have a big Adobe After Effects course, learning how to do animations and motion graphics in After Effects. And I've added all these sort of additional tutorials that I thought, well, I'm putting this tutorial on YouTube just for fun, so I might as well put it in the course. But at the end of the day, it kind of made the course disorganized. So just for that purpose, creating a brand new course, I think is a good idea. And the other idea is just that I'm already giving, and you're already giving a lot of value in your initial courses. And so redoing a version 2.0 course is uh, just a good, it's almost a better way to improve a course. Actually, I talked to the Udemy team about this when I
Mm.
was redoing my course. I asked them, should I just add my content to my previous course? Because I was trying to increase the rating of that course, my Premiere Pro course. And they said from their research, they found that it's harder to improve the rating of an old course by adding new content than it is to just start a completely new course and start from scratch. And I've found that to be very true.
Mm.
And the way I kind of justify it to myself, because I felt a little bad, like, oh, well, some people are buying this old course and now I'm coming out with this brand new course. Should I try to like promote the new course to them? But then I thought about like how book publishers, especially educational book publishers, they come out with new versions of the same textbook every year or so, and with
Right.
updated things. And my courses are even better than that. It's not just an update with a few extra lectures. It's a completely new course. So that's how I do it, and that's how I would suggest it. And
Mm.
in terms of validation, we actually had a blab I think talking about validation. And
Yep.
so if you go to the YouTube channel that we're streaming from, Dave's Online Business Mastery, it should be on there. And I'll also share, I don't know if I actually can share links on this. I guess I'm not an admin, so I can't chat links. But if you search for Video School Online, or if you go to my website, videoschoolonline.com, and you search through my blog for a validation, how to validate your course, I actually put together an article based off of that blab on how to validate a course. And it's simply, the simplest thing is just going on places like YouTube or even Udemy or Amazon Kindle and seeing what topics are out there. If your topic you're interested in teaching has a lot of viewers, a lot of books, a lot of reviews, and that's the easiest way to validate. And then there's more intricate ways of validating, like doing some keyword research or reaching out to your audience and seeing what they want. And that's actually something I did with this video production course I just created. I sent an email survey out to my list of video production people who subscribe to my channel and they're interested in video production. And I asked them what they wanted in a course, and a lot of them got back to me with their ideas, and I built a course based off that information. So automatically I knew that there was a target audience for that kind of course. So
Nice.
yeah, that's a little bit about validation. There was another question I just saw too. My Knowledge School, I don't know who this is, but what your name is, but he asked how we schedule creating a course. Maybe you can talk about that, because you're talking about creating 2 courses a month. So
Yeah. Well, I have a system that has worked for me for many years, even prior to coming to Udemy. I've been teaching online for a long time. Typically, I used to do webinars, and I was hooked up with a company that was in the eBay seminar company. When they went from seminars to webinars, I had to create a new webinar every week of content, roughly an hour, hour and a half of content. So when I came to Udemy, like, creating a course was simple. It was just like creating a webinar. And I was used to creating a webinar, like literally finishing creating it the day that I was presenting it. So without any rehearsal, I developed a teaching style that allowed me to basically teach it off the cuff without a lot of rehearsal and without a lot of, prepping. Anyway, having said that, the way I do it is very simple. And I've said it in a few other of our videos. I start with the yellow pad and I write down the working title at the top of the page. And then I outline the course by asking every possible question somebody could have about that topic. Then I order the questions in priority order so that it flows from beginner questions to more advanced questions to fully advanced questions. And then that becomes the basis for my PowerPoint presentation. And then I go and start fleshing out the PowerPoint. So I'm not sure that that's a scheduling answer, but I do it in phases. So my first phase is creating the outline. Second phase is creating the PowerPoint. Third phase is presenting it, i.e. recording myself presenting the PowerPoint. If I am going to have face-to-camera videos, I schedule those in and I do those. And then the rest of it is uploading the videos and everything to Udemy. I can get that process done in a week, maybe even sooner. I've done it in as quickly as 2 days. And so I wouldn't call it scheduling. I would just call it a flow from step 1, outline, step 2, PowerPoint, step 3, record, step 4, upload. That's basically the flow. And it goes pretty quickly that way.
yeah, well, it's like a lot about efficiency and the way that you're doing it and laying out just the way you like plan on, coming up with what are the top questions people are going to be asking, and just knowing that that's how you create a course. It makes you very efficient. So some people, especially when you're starting out, it's going to take longer to create the course, to come up with the ideas. But both of us know that as we create more and more courses, it becomes faster to create courses. So yeah, cool. Great questions, guys. If you guys have any more questions specific like that, we haven't done a blab in a while. So I know, like, even though some of you have probably heard us talk about these same ideas over and over, it's good to kind of rehash some of these ideas, especially when we're starting the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what was I going to talk
I was
about?
going to ask you about Amazon t-shirt stuff.
Oh yeah. So we want to talk about that here in the Passive Income Show?
I just want to ask you because, it's the passive income show. I think we could ask
All
about
right.
that. And you talked about December being a good month for you passive income wise. And so I just want to like hear how that's going for you.
Yeah, well, there's two sides to the Amazon t-shirt business. One is I developed a course with a co-instructor who happens to just be killing it with these t-shirts. And secondly, I started doing the t-shirt business as well. Now, before I get into detail, it's a new program by Amazon called Merch by Amazon, and started a little over a year ago. It started in November of 2015. And what it is basically a print-on-demand t-shirt service. So let's say, like, I see, Phil's wearing a t-shirt. What does your shirt say on it?
It's actually a convert kit shirt that says teach everything you know.
Oh, sweet. Sweet. A themed shirt. Okay. So let's say I have that design. I had a designer do that design for me in a certain format. I can upload that design to Amazon, to Merch by Amazon, and then Amazon will go to town with it. They'll put it on t-shirts. Uh, they'll put it on every single size, men's, women's, children's, and in up to 5 colors. And I don't have to do anything other than upload a design. Suddenly it's a listing on Amazon.com and people can buy the shirt. Now, it sounds simple, but the real power is that you're tapping into Amazon's traffic. Now, Amazon is, as we all know, is incredible. They're masters at getting traffic. They have all the traffic. So you can end up selling a pretty good number of shirts by just putting up some decent designs that are, interesting or popular or that people are searching for. So this course that I co-created with my friend Daniel, who's doing ridiculously well on it, we're selling it for $597 because it's his entire system. For when we created the course, he was making about $12,000 a month with t-shirts,
Wow.
with Merch by Amazon. But now he's gone to a whole different level. In November, he made $24,000 with t-shirts, guys.
Wow. Yeah.
And by the way, it's fully, I won't call it passive income because, yeah, it does require that you do some work, but he's outsourced most of the work. And then in December, he made $50,000.
Wow.
With t-shirts. Now, again, it's not that it's t-shirts, it's that he's tapping into Amazon and he has thousands. I think he has something like 6,000 designs up. So he just went crazy with this system and just went after it. So anyway, that course has generated us about $20,000 in the 5 or 6 months that we've had it up.
Nice.
And, we get to split that. And then the Merch by Amazon business for me, since I've been doing, my main thing is teaching online, right? And I'm doing this as a little side hustle. In November, I think I made $1,400 on t-shirts.
Nice.
So that was a nice little extra, extra thing. January doesn't look as good because, it fluctuates, and that was the heavy holiday season and that kind of thing. So now what I'm doing is I'm continuing to plan for fourth quarter of 2017 with that business. But the cool thing is I have my web designer turned into a t-shirt designer. And so he's doing all the t-shirt designs now. I just send him the ideas. He does the designs. I upload them. And, I could even outsource that if I needed to. I could have my wife do the uploading and all that. But that's just a little side business that I saw so much potential in that I said, you know what? I can't not do this.
Right.
I have to jump into this because it's so simple and it's something anyone can do. And sometimes I'm shocked at the shirts that sell because I wouldn't buy some of these shirts. Not that they're bad shirts, but
it seems like it's less work than an online course. You don't have to, do any of the fulfillment. You don't have to answer questions. How many designs do you have up there right now?
I have 238 designs. And there's a whole story to this. I'm not getting into on purpose. But because the program was flooded with people that came in, people like me who wanted a piece of that action, Amazon started throttling
Mm.
shirt sales and started reducing our ability to upload designs. And then they also did something where any shirt that hasn't sold in the first 60 days of it being published, they took down.
Mm.
So I was at my tier, which was 500. I was at about 485 shirts up, but when they took that 60-day rolling thing, it went down to 200 and something. So all that to say that November, December could have been much bigger for everyone had that throttling not come into effect. But just like we experience, Phil, with Udemy, we experience changes and turbulence and things like that. Same thing's happening with this new program because Amazon did not expect it to blow up like it did.
Yeah, yeah. But I think the key is if you have, you can't always have faith in different websites that they're going to bounce back. But with a business like Udemy that we did know had so many investors, and they had a lot of, it's a huge company, and Amazon is the same. We know that they're going to figure it out. And so instead of giving up on it, just sticking with it and rolling with the punches, and we're going to come out ahead in the end. And I love the idea about just kind of planning for the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Both for online courses, it's the best quarter of the year, but also for t-shirts, it's obvious that would be the best quarter of the year with people giving gifts. So just kind of planning for that and working on it throughout this first start of the year, I think is really good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Pretty much that's what Daniel did. He knew fourth quarter was going to be huge. He got started, like I said, this program's only a year old. So he got started November of 2015 and saw a big December. And so his whole year was pushing for fourth quarter of 2016, and he reaped the rewards. And I'm noticing that, and in fact, I just did a video about this. Don't just try, go all out. The people that go all out, and that, by the way, that requires a lot of faith as well. But the people that go all out in some of these businesses, like Daniel, my friend, with merch, and Phil, you with Udemy, they see the biggest rewards. The hard part is having the faith, to say, this is going to be big. I'm going all in.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
I mean, it's hard too, because not everyone has, enough time,
right,
energy or whatever to go all in on a specific, or skills to go all in. So it's part, being fortunate to have that time and energy, but yeah, that I've had so much success with that. And that brings up one of my big goals for 2017, which you know about, but because I'm inviting you to be a guest on a podcast that I'm starting. But that's one of my big goals for this year. And we did the Blab thing. I've done lots of Google Hangouts and done interviews for other people's podcasts, but I've never really gone full force with trying to start my own podcast. But then I look at iTunes and I look at some of the people in our industry and some of my biggest inspirations, and I see everyone has a podcast. So, Gary Vaynerchuk, even though he's not someone I actually follow at all, and Tim Ferriss is another person I don't follow anymore, but his 4-hour work week is one of my first inspirations. But Pat Flynn, another person that I'm very inspired by. These people have their podcast and they've stuck with it. And I've actually tried to start a couple different podcasts in the past, but I've never stuck with it. And so in 2017, that's what one of my goals is to have a weekly podcast for online course creators, because there's so many podcasts out there about online business and general online business.
Right.
But there are a couple people who have done the course creation podcast too. But when you search for course creation on iTunes, there's just not much out there. But I know there's an audience out there for it. And I know, at least I know I would enjoy it. And so it's going to be all interview based, mostly just one-on-one interviews with other creators. And those are the kind of podcasts I like listening to most anyways, just hearing the real world case studies of people like me. And that's actually honestly one of the reasons why I don't listen to Pat Flynn's podcast that much anymore, because now it's mostly the big name guys that he gets to talk to. And you hear from these millionaires and gazillionaires about what they're doing, but it's hard to connect with that. So at least I mean, all the people I'm talking to now are people who started out and are still, you know, starting out or have had success, but people can hopefully connect to. So right now I'm batch recording a ton of interviews the next couple of weeks. And the goal is to launch in February with a bunch of like maybe 5 episodes launched at once, and then start releasing them one at a week. And it'll be just a good way to create a lot of content. I'm going to be repurposing them into YouTube videos, and also putting them up as blog articles on my own website. So I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome. That's a great strategy. And Sheldon had a great comment. You could publish the audio from the YouTube live as a podcast. I was thinking about something similar like that, where I would maybe take these short videos that I'm doing every day and publish them to podcast directories. They're very short. They're 2 to 5 minutes. Some go as long as 11 minutes. But it might just be something that people, you know, they go, hey, I could watch this on the way to work, or or not watch it, but listen to it by taking the audio off of it. So maybe that would be an idea too, Phil, is to do a video show and then use the audio as your podcast. And that way you're on 2 big platforms. You're on iTunes and YouTube as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. And I think in the end, you know, I don't know if this podcast is going to reach millions of people. I don't think it will yet, and unless I stick with it for a long time. But I'm not focused on building an audience of 1 million people. I want to get and help 1,000 people or 100 people, and have the people who really enjoy the content subscribe and be listening every week and looking forward to the interviews every week, because that's how I like my podcast. I subscribe to just a few, but I look forward to those podcasts every week. And when they skip a week, I'm like, oh man, why?
Yeah.
So I think it's a great way to give back to the community that has helped me so much. And yeah, so I'm just really excited about that. And podcasts have been around for a long time, and they're still fairly successful. It's a great way to introduce people to your brand or to your audience, get people into your audience.
Yeah, and it's a great audience too. It's a very active audience, and it's also a very big audience that you don't normally reach on YouTube, because a lot of people listen to podcasts on their way to work.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a very different audience. And it's kind of like having some ebooks on Amazon, your courses on Udemy, your YouTube channel. You know, you don't want to spread yourself thin, but being able to repurpose this on the different platforms is good. And just, yeah, tapping into that audience. And so we'll see, but I'm really excited about it. And I've been enjoying interviewing a lot of people this week. And the cool thing is that, yes, I'm getting interviews with a lot of the people that I've talked to before, or the people we've had on our show, but I'm also reaching out and trying to get people who I've never talked to, and who are maybe new up and comers in the online course world, or people just that are in different circles. So it should be pretty exciting.
That's great. Alexander he says, one more question. Have you guys had much success on other platforms like Skillshare and Skill Success? And what do you guys think about them in comparison to Udemy? I would love to hear your answer, Phil, because I haven't really heard an update from you about how Skillshare is going and Skill Success. So I'd love to hear that.
So first, with Skill Success, I can talk about them really quickly. They're just another platform, just another one of these platforms, a smaller marketplace, kind of they don't have as many courses, but they have been able to sell some of my courses for me. And so I'm pretty confident in allowing them to sell my courses. And I don't, you know, I don't spend a lot of time on that site. I basically just give them my courses and they put them up and sell them. So I have had some success. I think I've averaged maybe $400 or $500 a month on there for the past half year. I think I made up to $1,000 or $1,200 on that site once. So
nice.
So it's decent. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so they're, what's that?
They say every $1,000 helps.
Oh yeah, every 10 bucks helps. But they're like one of these platforms where they came to me and I didn't really know if I could trust the site or if it was going to be worth the time. It was kind of a gamble, but it's paid off. And there's so many people that approach us, and probably a lot of you listening, you might get emails from people who say, oh, put your courses on my site. We're a new startup and we're going to have 100,000 people on our site, and a lot of them don't pan out. And so I've stopped kind of experimenting. I wait and see if other people are making money. So, but that's what we're here to say. So Skill Success has worked. Skillshare, on the other hand, has been interesting because they were a really big part of my income. And earlier last year, I was averaging $4,000 or $5,000 on Skillshare. And
Wow.
that was, Udemy was more, but it was a decent amount of money. And it was growing. But then when Udemy made the price change, it all happened at once. When Udemy did their first price change in April, everyone from Udemy, there was a huge flood of instructors that went on to Skillshare and tried to game the market over there, and everything kind of changed. And so people were gaming the system by sending out a lot of free coupons to their courses. And I don't know if it was dishonest, because it was allowed to happen and it was within the rules back then. But that just giving away free coupons would increase the ranking of your course. And so people were doing that a lot. And then people were literally posting new courses every week or every day. And so it flooded the marketplace with a lot of courses. And so I saw my revenue drop dramatically. And that's totally fine, because the way that it works is they split their revenue with all the instructors, or at least all the instructors who have courses getting enrollments. So that was fine that, if other instructors are coming, they get a piece of the pie as well. But at the same time, it was kind of discouraging. And even if I was posting new courses, I wasn't having as much success. That being said, income dropped and it kind of leveled off around like $1,800 a month for the past, I'd say like 3 or 4 months. But that's with me not paying really much attention to it. I haven't posted a new Skillshare course in a while. And they did recently change their revenue share model. So now it used to be where you would get paid based off of the number of enrollments in your class. Now it's paid based off of the minutes watched in your classes. And the idea is that the classes that have more engagement are the ones that get paid more. There's still worry about people gaming that system. And this happened with SkillFeed. I don't know if you remember SkillFeed, but it was another platform that was based off of minutes watched, and people were paying people in other countries to like watch their class for 10 hours a day. Man. And that, I think, really like made that platform just fall apart. And so they've put in some, things where they're going to flag users if they're watching like more than a certain amount of time every day. So I think Skillshare is a big enough company. It's not as big as Udemy, but I think it's a big enough company that it's not like they're going to belly up anytime soon. So that's another thing, though. I'm interviewing a couple of people who are just teaching courses on Skillshare and they haven't thought about on Udemy, kind of like we interviewed Jake Bartlett on our show. So it's interesting to see these people who are just on Skillshare, and they don't even have, like, I spoke to this guy today, Hayden, and he's not even interested in putting his courses on Udemy.
Interesting.
So it's working for a lot of people. So that was my long answer. It wasn't really short.
Well, I would love to hear Jake Bartlett's take on this new change, especially after a few months of the change, and see, because, he's serious on Skillshare, to see how he's doing.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I'm in a Slack conversation with him and a bunch of other Skillshare teachers, and a lot of people were upset because Skillshare has been trying to get people, or they've been telling people to create shorter courses. They were saying the ideal course was around 15 minutes. And so when they say now that your revenue is based on minutes watched, all these people who have shorter courses are like, wait a second, that seems unfair
Right.
because we've built a business and you've told us to build our courses on these short amount of time. So yeah, well, time will tell. They're now saying the ideal course is like 45 minutes or so. So
Well, so for someone like me, Phil, would you still recommend that I post some courses on Skillshare? Because all my courses are, they're at least an hour. They're 1 to 3 hours long typically.
yeah, I mean, I always give advice based off my own experience, and there's no way that I could say that I suggest not to do it. I think the biggest fear and the biggest hesitation is, will the Skillshare audience affect my Udemy audience?
Hmm.
Will someone on Skillshare see that, or someone on Udemy see that some of my courses are on Skillshare and I can pay just a monthly fee for all of my courses? And I've never had anybody come to me, and it's impossible for me to know for sure if my Udemy income has been hurt by my Skillshare income revenue or students. But I still think that it's worth it for me. And I'm not as into putting the entire course on Skillshare as one whole course now. I'll break down my bigger courses from Udemy into smaller courses.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, the courses that have done best for me on Skillshare have been the ones that I've created for that platform. The project-based courses, the shorter courses, those ones do better. But at the end of the day, I like putting my content on different platforms to create different streams of income.
It's kind of like the mutual fund approach. You want to diversify and spread your assets across many different platforms, because you never know when one platform is going to have a big change like Udemy recently did or whatnot, and you want to have a good balance of income across different platforms. And I see that just growing in 2017. I feel like, I don't have any knowledge on this, but I feel like this thing's just going to continue. There's going to be new upstarts. Maybe some of the big hitters will come in and go, hey, let's buy this company or whatnot. I just feel like ed tech, that's the kind of the branding that it goes by, is just going to grow. And so we're going to be in a good position to add income streams. We want to do it wisely. You don't want to just be anywhere and everywhere. You want to do it wisely. And that's why with Skill Success, thanks to you, Phil, you introduced me to Michael, the founder. And I asked him the same question I ask every platform. What is your source of traffic? What are your promotion strategies? What kind of marketing do you do? I want to know those answers, because knowing those answers will tell me whether I want to put my courses on there or not. I want to know that my time is going to be worth it to upload those courses, and also that they just have a decent business model in general, where it might be sustainable. Nothing's guaranteed. We never know if something's going to sustain or not, but those are just some of the basics that I look at before deciding to upload to some of these platforms.
Yeah. Do you have any, you said something earlier when we started the show, but do you have any ideas or any new websites that you are excited about for 2017?
I was approached by a company called LifeTunes. Have you heard of them?
LifeTunes. It sounds a little familiar.
Yeah, I was approached by them, and I believe they're launching like this week. And they're supposed to be an app. So it's primarily mobile based, and you put your courses up there. And I think their maximum course price is $14.99 for what they call a life tune. So it's almost like taking the music approach, but to online courses. And so people can buy these live tunes for $9.99 or $14.99 or whatever. And so I uploaded one course just to see how it goes. And then once I get a sense of how it's going, then maybe I'll upload some more. But I believe they're launching like in this week or the next couple of weeks. Actually launching in the app stores. So cool. We'll see how that goes.
Nice. Yeah, I think I might have got an email from them because I just typed in their web address and I realized that I visited them before. So yeah, you'll have to let us know how that goes. The one that was big news in 2016 was Amazon Video.
Oh yeah.
And time will tell how big they grow, but I'm getting paid back for all the money that I invested in closed captioning and time spent uploading videos to that platform. No, it's not perfect for online courses. It's not set up as an online course marketplace, but for YouTubers, for people who are creating YouTube content, I would say it's a great place to put your videos. It's not for your sort of everyday kind of vlog style, not directed video, but if you have tutorials or courses that or videos on YouTube that are very specific to a keyword, then I've found some decent success. I think my best month on Amazon Video Direct so far was around $300.
Not
So,
bad.
and they're expanding. They haven't really come out directly and said that the videos that we've put up on Amazon Video Direct will be released to 200 more countries, but they did come up. Didn't they announce at the end of last year something about Video Direct content being available in 200 countries coming soon?
I think so. You know, and time will tell. But
Yeah.
that's an interesting platform. I think the main thing with Amazon Video Direct is you've got to have something that's in really high demand on Amazon. You've got to have something like one of the people that's doing okay on it is a comedian. He uploaded his comedy videos up, and that's doing good because it's entertainment. So I would say that entertainment type stuff, like if for some weird reason, Phil, you had like, I don't know, long lost copies of The Office,
Yeah.
and you had the rights to that, that would blow up on that, right? But
Yeah.
so anything entertainment wise would be huge on there. But even with things like online courses, you know, if it's something that you would typically look for in a special interest section of the old video stores like Blockbuster used to be. I don't know if there's still Blockbusters around, but not in California anyway.
No.
But anyway, like in the special interest section where you might look for something that's just niche focused and that there's high keyword searching going on Amazon for, then you can make money on it. But otherwise, man, it's hard to make money on it. But the good thing that I think you and I both did, Phil, is we jumped into it because it's Amazon.
Yeah.
It's Amazon. They're not likely to just let it drop, you know. But what they are potentially possibly going to do, what they might potentially do, I'm being very speculative here, is say, hey, we want to get into the ed tech space. Because they've gotten into just about everything else, right? Why not get into ed tech space and use Amazon Video Direct as the foundation for, you know, a more simplified online learning platform? That would be big news if that were to happen. That would be huge.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we thought Video Direct might end up being, and it might morph into that. But I was looking, and there was a bunch of news articles about Amazon Video Prime launching in 200 countries. So Prime Video, I guess, is now available around the world, and I think that potentially is a signal that eventually Video Direct will be, or all the content from Video Direct will be, because that's how it worked, that Video Direct content is available to Prime members. So I don't know if that is true, though. I know I see Scott Duffy on our chat saying he's checking.
Hey,
I wonder if Scott Duffy can check and see if any of my videos, if you search for Video School Online on Amazon, if any of my videos pop up in Canada, because that might mean that our Video Direct content is available in wherever there is Prime. But I'm not sure. I don't know if we had a blab after I talked to them. I had like a 2-hour conversation with the Amazon Video Direct team.
Really?
Yeah. And they were,
dude, that would have been a great show to do.
Yeah. And I was really excited about it. But at the end of the day, I realized that they weren't very interested in creating another Udemy platform. And they're not really interested in making Video Direct more online course friendly. They're happy with how it is set up now, really more geared for TV series. But they're still aiming for educators. They're still going after educators to put their content on Amazon. They see it as they have Kindle for books and they see Video Direct for video. It's not a perfect marriage yet, and I'm not exactly sure where it goes from now. But it's, yeah, just another thing we'll get to see in 2017 what happens. But it's also not an area where I'm spending a lot of time myself. I might try to outsource some of this work and captioning my videos and courses and outsourcing it. But what 2016 taught me was that I should, and I know this, but I should just focus my energy on what's working.
Yep.
So,
yep. Yeah. Good deal. So, well, one thing is constant in the age we live in, and that is change. So we never know what's coming down the pike. I mean, like we were talking about earlier about merch by Amazon. That program didn't exist a year and a few months ago, and all of a sudden it's providing me a really nice passive income. So there are always going to be these opportunities come up in the era that we live in, because everything is digital, and it's so easy now to create anything digital. In fact, I was on my way to pick up my boys today, and I was getting into the car, and I thought to myself, like on my Facebook, the only thing I say about myself, because I'm kind of a private person. I know it's weird because here I am broadcasting worldwide. But I'm kind of a private person. I like to keep things minimalistic and simple and whatnot. But on my Facebook thing right now, it just says infopreneur, like where it says job or what I do for a living, it just says infopreneur. But I thought about it, and you know what I thought? I go, man, we sell digits. That's what we sell. We sell ones and zeros. And that's really cool, because, you're a digital marketer, you're selling digits. Our videos are digits, our courses are digits, my shirt designs are digits. I sell digits. It's kind of a trip that those are valuable.
Yeah. The whole world is a bunch of digits right now. Our money is just a bunch of digits somewhere.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I think Udemy is still, I think the other thing I'll say about 2016 and going into 2017 is that Udemy is still the place where I'm going to focus promoting a lot of my online courses. I think like you, I have my bundles on my own site, and I am excited about those, and I'm excited about promoting those or creating systems that promote those. But when I create a course and I launch a course, I'm still focusing on putting it on Udemy and making sure that it ranks well on Udemy. It's getting good reviews on Udemy, and that's where I've had the most success so far. So that's where I'm focusing.
That's awesome. So besides the podcast, what is your game plan for 2017? We're getting close to wrapping up here, but I do want to hear your master plan.
Yeah. So my master plan, aside from the podcast, is that this whole video production class was kind of a good launching point. At the end of last year, I was thinking, my expertise is video production, but I don't have a course on video production, or a really good beginner course in video production. And also with the friends that I taught that course with, the whole grand master plan is to have an entire film school online. If you wanted to learn anything about film or video production, kind of like what we went to film school for, I want to have a class on that. And so
that is awesome.
Throughout like 2017, I want to just continue creating courses and more advanced courses related to that topic, and putting them out on Udemy, but ultimately with the idea that it could be its own platform, and it could be, an entire premium program with video production courses. So that's kind of like my vision for the course content I'm creating. And then on the other hand, I'm focusing on online courses and helping other people create online courses and continuing to build that brand. There's a lot of people that come to me for that help, and partly because of the passive income. And so I want to make sure that I'm nurturing that audience. So not only with the course, but also I want to repackage my bundle that's on my website, where I packaged all my courses related to online teaching and online business. I want to repackage that, and also, I don't know, do something of more value for those students. Maybe doing a monthly live webinar or Q&A session, something like that. But yeah, so it's really just growing my audience with the podcast and the YouTube channel, and then also continuing to create courses related to video production. But in terms of my own brand and my own audience, focusing on the online teaching aspect.
That's great. Yeah, I think we should probably have a meeting again about that
Yeah, we
stuff
should do a
because,
brainstorm.
well, we're very aligned in that area, and I think that yeah, I think we would make a good team in terms of bringing that and adding the passive income show or maybe another private Facebook group for that kind of thing. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that'd
Yeah.
be good.
I know. I mean, our brainstorms were so good. And that's one thing that, Scott's listening and some other people might be listening to this in the future, but having a mastermind that meets regularly was so beneficial for a lot of 2016. And
Mm.
I've slacked on that and haven't been participating in our mastermind that I'm in on a weekly basis. But that's another thing that I want to kind of get back at. But
Yeah,
I think like, to be honest, 2016 was an amazing year for income and for growth of my business. But this year, I feel like I really just want to kind of like take a step back, chill, and focus myself, because I know that I can be as successful or more successful, but with doing less frenetic work, or
yeah,
frantic work. I just want to, kind of like you're doing, you focus your energies in specific areas. And that's what I want to do this year, is kind of just have more focus and less worry about things, because I know it's going to work out. And I know even if my income was cut in half, it'd be amazing. So yeah.
yeah. I noticed you were busting your butt in 2016. I mean, you were working like crazy,
Yeah.
and it's good though, because you've got to have those building years or those building processes. And then, like you said, you want to know when to kind of chill a little bit and maybe redouble or refocus your energies. And I totally agree. It's all about being very focused, very fine-tuned with with your game plan. That's why the last week of December, I just sat down for quite a few days and just looked at my game plan and decided what is the highest and best use of my time, for 2017 for the whole year, and let me get on a schedule to do this simple plan, very simple plan, but keep it on a schedule, because big results come from consistency. Okay, mediocre results come from being inconsistent, and sometimes horrible results come from being inconsistent. So having a simple focus plan that kind of checks off all the boxes that you want to accomplish, and then following through every week, every month, every day. I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And yeah, I feel like right now I'm a little bit all over the place with my goals, but I actually did sit down and write out my goals. And I think I just have to remind myself to go back to this. Even though it's only the second week of January, I should look back on my goals. And if you go to videoschoolonline.com, you can see my article that I recently wrote. And yes, it's about courses about video production. It's about starting a podcast and nurturing that audience. And then I have like specific I'll say SMART goals that have specific numbers to them. And by doing all these things, I think I can achieve them. And I think one of the coolest thing I'm just going to mention before we wrap up is the Alexa ranking of Video School Online, which Alexa.com, and the Alexa ranking basically is how popular a website is both in the US and in the world. And I hadn't checked it for a few months. And at the end of 2016, I realized that Video School Online was 114,432 in the US. So, which was a big increase in the past year. And
Wow.
that's pretty, I mean, that's a lot of websites ahead of me, but that's still pretty amazing that out of the millions and probably billions of websites in the world and in the US, that's the ranking. So my goal is to make the worldwide ranking in the top 100,000 by the end of 2017.
Oh yeah, you'll get there. That's amazing numbers. I mean, 100,000 is nothing compared to the number of websites in the world.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's what that's like the shining star that I want to achieve. And then to do that, I think like the podcast really would actually
Yep.
increase the traffic to my website. It's something that I've been trying to create higher quality content, but I think that itself will be really, really high quality content that will drive a lot of traffic to the website and ultimately to courses and to making money. But initially, it's just giving away a lot of free, amazing content.
Yep. Yeah, if you watch that Gary Vaynerchuk video, it is a mind bender. I mean, I never gave him a whole lot of credit because, again, like I said, the language just kind of threw me off, and I don't know, I just never thought it was necessary to use that language. But if you kind of treat it like a comedy show, because a lot of the stuff he says is actually really funny in this particular video, it's very entertaining. But in that process, you're getting a lot of really good, solid thinking, mindset. That's really, really helpful. So
I'm going to have to check that out. That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we should definitely do some sort of check-ins or something with the audience from Passive Income Show and just with each other to make sure that we're staying accountable to our goals throughout the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the Passive Income Show Facebook group, I feel like I'm on Blab again.
Yeah.
Promoting the group. Let me see if I can get that
get our link there.
Like yeah. What is it? Facebook.com/. There we go. Let's see.
Groups Passive Income Show. Yeah, I can't share the links, so thanks, Scott, for the hands. Yeah, there's no raising the roof or claps or anything on YouTube Live. So boring.
There it is. Okay, there you go. So for those of you that haven't been to the Passive Income Show Facebook group, there's the link. We can continue the conversation there. And yeah, thank you all for joining us. It's been fun to get back into the driver's seat or into the video seat to fire up the old Blue Yeti. Especially for me, because I haven't created a course. Well, I can't say I haven't created a course all of 2016, but I haven't really created that many courses in 2016. So that's kind of what I felt like, Phil, was like, this is Absolution 2017. I've got to come back and hit it hard because, not only do I have more content to produce, most of this new content is going to be about life skills, business skills, personal skills, talking to people, sales, things like that. But I just need to do more of what's working, just like you said. And the fact that I can take the same courses and put them on other platforms just multiplies the effect, the leverage, of creating one course. Before, you only created a course for Udemy. Now you can create it for 3 or 4 different platforms. So, it really became a no-brainer to me now for 2017 to get back into creating courses again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, to me and to some people, it might sound like we're just talking about the same thing as we were when we started the Passive Income Show, but it's exactly true. We're talking about the same thing because it's working, and that's what we got to do.
Exactly. Exactly. So. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's been a blast. Hope you DVR'd the farewell speech if you're interested in that. We were able to pull how many viewers? I don't know.
Got like up to 13 at some point.
Hey, man, we're kicking butt.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's been a pleasure to do this again, and hopefully we'll be doing it again soon. I'll be talking to Phil and see when he wants to do another one. He's so big and important now, so I gotta check with his agent. Talk to his agent.
Talk to my scheduler. No.
Yeah, my people call his people, and so on.
Yeah. Sounds good, Dave.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you. And we'll see you guys in the Passive Income Show.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.